What's up, Change the Channel podcast listeners? My name is Megan Grace, and this is another episode of Change the Channel podcast. Welcome back to the show. On today's episode, I wish that I could just coil you up next to me and have a cup of our favorite hot beverage and allow you to also be witnessing what I'm looking at right now, because a friend of mine so graciously had already reserved this adorable little Airbnb at the coast, the Oregon coast, and she wasn't able to use it. And so she gifted it to me. And so right now I'm sitting at this cute little kitchen table, and my view is Twin Rocks on the Oregon coast, on Rockaway Beach, and which I guess is just a spot that people, on your list of things to see, this is what you're meant to see. And I am literally looking at it from my kitchen table, and the ocean is just flirting with me with, beautiful big splashy waves. And there's a little bit of almost like a hill with kind of some of that seagrass. And I went for a walk today and saw some jellyfish that were bigger than my feet. They were bigger than my shoe. They're probably the size of my head. I've never seen a jellyfish that was beached that's that big. And also this morning, it was really, really powerful. As I was walking, the sun was coming up, and it was kind of coming up through some of this misty, cloudy, coastal sky. And there were these two little breaks in the clouds that were shining through as rainbows. And I was on the beach basically by myself, walking around, seeing all the different kind of treasures that the ocean had left behind. And I was just feeling this incredible sense of joy. And I wanted to talk about that today. It feels like joy, at least for me in my body, is oftentimes a tricky emotion to be with. And I will say it's not tricky by myself. When I'm with me, I'm great at being joyful. I'm great at seeing the bigger picture. One of my other friends, I'm constantly sending him pictures of things, being like, look at it, look at it, look at this, look at this. It's this childlike buoyancy wonder within my body. And I have always been this way. This is just kind of a part of, I think, my DNA makeup and some of the gifts that I see that I have. And I wanted to talk about joy today in the Change the Channel fashion of what are the channels that interrupt our ability to be with joy. Also, what is our definition of joy? And what are the channels that we actually want to be thinking about joy as with ourselves? And I will say that for me, as I'm sitting here just overwhelmed, I mean, my basic needs, if we're going on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, are met. I brought these delicious, fresh ingredients to make a yummy bowl of food. I have this gorgeous accommodation with a, sort of balcony type thing, and the ocean just right outside for me to either go explore or to watch from afar while I'm working. And I also, as someone that is a non-emotional in human design, can be somewhat bombarded and feel an intensity within me when I'm around too many people for too long, because a non-emotional in human design, if you're not familiar with that, means that your solar plexus center is undefined, means it's open. And that means that essentially I think about it like that means there's open windows for that in your life. And so when other people are feeling emotions, I tend to feel whatever they're feeling, but multiplied times 3. It's a good time. It's been so supportive. Human design is so supportive for me to learn what that's all about because, sometimes I will almost step in and think that I need to help solve something because to me it's like a category 5 situation and the person may be only feeling it themselves internally at like a 2. So I've been learning a lot about that. But today, as I'm talking about joy, I'm in a space all by myself for the first time in a really long time. I don't even have my dog with me. I am experiencing just my own emotions. And, excuse me, when I was just with myself, I realized I had this buoyancy within me. I all of a sudden found my creativity was turning back on again. I've been feeling kind of stagnant and almost like they're unformed thoughts. Thoughts are coming in my head like shooting stars and are less grounded or landing. Excuse me. This must be an important topic because my throat is feeling that way. Do you ever notice parts of your body start to talk to you, or your throat starts to get dry, or you feel this sense of either your heart beating or your stomach kind of closing, like turning in a little bit when you know that you're about to tell the truth? You know that you're about to say something that could be controversial or misunderstood, or I don't know if that's your experience, but I feel that way sometimes. And lately, I have been seeing that as actually a sign that what I'm about to say is very important to the channel. I think is as you listen, please listen to your body. Think about what's coming up for you. What is your belief system? What have you been told about joy? Does joy feel like a silly emotion? Did you not even think about joy before you watched Inside Out and saw the character with blue hair and, fairy-like tendencies? Does joy feel frivolous or, I don't know, almost like you're naive or not paying attention or not strong enough to handle what's going on around you? For me, joy is my baseline. Joy is who I am when I am just being. When nothing has interacted with me to put me off course, my natural alignment is joy. And sometimes I feel like people might see me as problematic or not paying attention or not tapped in or, just spoiled in some way. And I will tell you that when those voices show up in my head, especially during times when I know that my friends and family, maybe greater community, even my country in this moment are feeling tumultuous, it feels a little like a spoiled kid to just be able to feel joy. And what I was starting to realize today, and why I want to bring this up, is because joy it's not a fluffy or fuzzy emotion. It's not that a consolation prize or cotton candy dissolve in your mouth style energy. Joy to me it's like the Amazonian warrior within each of us that says, There are forces that are swelling, like the ocean that I see out in front of me, that are unapologetically coming in and out like the tide. Our lives are rarely ever without some semblance of wave. And what joy is that warrior that says, I know myself, I am connected to myself enough to where I am able to not be knocked over by every single wave that comes. Let that sink in for a minute. What if when you feel that buoyancy and that levity of joy, it doesn't mean that you're not in the fight or you're not paying attention or you're not impactful? What if it means that you are actually able to put your feet on the ground, stand sturdy, and allow some of the waves of life to pelt and move around you, and yet you are still there. You are still unmoved. You are still impacted by what happens, but not drowning in all of it. Joy is the other side of the coin of grief oftentimes, and grief can sometimes feel like the swells that tumble us in this life. And joy to me is the lifeboat that allows us to step inside of something else for a moment, to catch our breath, to have our lungs filled less with the waters of the waves of life, and instead be able to clear our throat and say, I'm here and I have a purpose and I want to bring this forward. When I realized that I feel a certain level of shame for speaking about things that are happening that are good in my life, when I can see so quickly on social media that something not good may be happening in someone else's life, I find that it shuts me down. It makes me want to hold my good cards close to my chest. But y'all, that's the problem. If we are not able to also see that there's brightness and there's hope and there's laughter and there's silliness and there's ease, then it feels like there's no point in trying to fight against any of the waves. And that hopelessness is not serving anyone. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve the causes that matter to you. It doesn't serve your family, your friends, your loved ones, your body, your spirit, your future self. It doesn't serve anyone. And so as like in human design, there's a very specific gate. It's called the joy junkie. And that means, and it's connected to the root. And the root is a lot about being sure of your direction, being able to kind of have this steadiness in your drive of where you're going. And I am realizing that in a time where things can feel very divided, this is actually a profound superpower. And it's possible that a lot of you also have that in your chart. And I would love to hear from you more if that's also true for you. If you're familiar with human design, it's gate 58, I believe. So what if we can move away from the narrative of, if I'm not struggling, then I'm not making an impact or I'm not paying attention. And what if, kind of like Tori on her first 100K was talking about today, she said, I'm paying attention. I see what's going on. I am also not going to shift my entire brand narrative into reminding you all the time of what those that are holding political offices are saying or doing, because I have work to do. And it lit a fire inside of me to hear that. I'm like, I have work to do too. Those of us that are carrying the embers and the forest fire internally of joy. Joy doesn't ever get snuffed out for those of us. It just is like a flame that changes size. You are more vital to this cause, Amazonian warrior flame, because you are the lifeboats. You are the water wings in the pool. You are the thing that is keeping the whole world from feeling it for people like you're just going under. And so I want to encourage us. I want to speak life into those that are also on a quest to bring joy, that you are not the cotton candy of your community. You are a rich, nutrient dense powerhouse that comes through light on the palate, but holds its sustenance in your belly. Please bring your joy. Please bring your possibility. Please bring your hope when you have it, because those that are moving through a time and season that aren't feeling that need to have a space where they can relight their fire, relight their candle. And so as we think about changing the channel on this, I was also thinking about community. I find that sometimes I can be the most joyful when I'm by myself, because I already know that I have the complex, layered lens view of what's going on, just because that's who I am. And so I don't feel apologetic about it. But how do we take joy into community? And as I've been looking at, kind of glancing at social media and taking things in and looking at them for myself, what I was realizing is that things like commiseration are also a cry for community. What do I mean by that? So we gather oftentimes around a similar goal or a similar foe or a similar life experience or circumstance. I think that's oftentimes why people can become very interwoven and identify so strongly with a piece and part of their story, because that part of their story in some way allowed commiseration or connection to others. And so it can be hard to step into the next space of growing and growth, because you feel like you might outgrow your support systems or your community. And so in this moment, when there is various versions of outrage, some people are wanting to celebrate, other people are wanting to move away to other countries, other people are feeling, just the whole spectrum. We'll just say the whole spectrum. And what I truly believe, and as I've been seeing this show up often, people say we need community, we need community. And the thing of it is that we have learned so often to eliminate people as opposed to include people into our spheres and spaces, that learning how to do community is tricky. We don't always know how, but the nervous system has this powerful tool called the tend and befriend part. We often get stuck in the fight or flight, talking about all the ways that things don't work. But when you tend and befriend, it means that you have coiled in next to someone else in a way that you're able to co-regulate with each other. And I realize that if you notice yourself reaching out in this desire to commiserate with others, that is potentially your body's desire for raw and authentic community. You're wanting to be seen and you're wanting to be held. And potentially it's because you feel like your joy candle is burning low. And what I would love to encourage you to do is, when you feel that way and when you see that, when you reach out to others, start with a vulnerable sentence of, I'm realizing that I need people. I'm realizing that I don't know always how to do that well, but I'm realizing that I need people. Are you interested in being in that space with me? And see what shows up from that. What if instead of getting together and the first words out of our mouths being, oh my gosh, did you see this thing that was hard? Or, oh my gosh, have you heard about such and such doing whatever? What if we start with, I am in need of community. I'm in need of being around and with you. I'm grateful that you're in my sphere and my space. What is your level of joy today? What is something you're grateful for? And if the person is not in a space to play that game, that's fine. But I think that it's so important for us to intentionally gather and start to learn about what community is. And I'm by no means saying that community is only happy things or it's only upbeat things. But what I am saying is that sometimes how we open the door to our conversation can play a big part in how the rest of the time goes. And so while you may feel anxious, you may feel upset, potentially an idea would be to set a timer and say, we're going to talk about, things that are going well, and then set a timer and say, what are things that are not going well? And then come back to powerful things that I notice about you or that I'm grateful to you for, and then do it back and forth. And so we can start to embody community with each other and not simply be bonded over the things that aren't working or the anger that we feel. Or what if we created space for multiple types of experiences and emotions to exist at the same time? That's another tool that allows us to feel some levels of buoyancy, because it's actually very healthy to feel multiple emotions at the same time. It means that you're not stuck in one space. And it means that if you're not stuck there now, there's potential that you won't be stuck there in the future, which wouldn't that be wonderful? I don't know about you, but I don't want my life to be marked by the days that I feel the worst. I don't want that. This is also something when I've been looking at social media and I notice various people with ancestral lines that may be feeling the waves and pain and pangs of disappointment, discouragement, fear, all of that. This is not to discount your experience. This is not to say, shove it down, don't talk to anybody. This is to say, to honor the fact that even your ancestors were not simply one or the other. They were not simply held down or lifted up. There were things in the middle. And so my idea, my quest, my desire for even myself is to, in conversations with people, be mindful to include various ingredients of emotion, various ingredients of experiencing or sharing who I am, whether you are used to giving all the time. Maybe it's a time for you to receive, like me right now in this gorgeous freaking space, looking at the ocean. This is a gift. And if I would have been stubborn and said, no, I feel bad. I don't want to do this. I don't want to take something from you, when it was an open-handed gift. Her and I have actually been sharing some sweet moments back and forth as I've been able to share with her, like through my eyes, the outpouring of what this gift is. And that has been like an opportunity for us to bond over a sense of joy and something beautiful. So yeah, that's what's been rolling around in my head these past couple days. And I just really, really am feeling compelled to put this out there because I know that this might not be what people are feeling right away. This might not be your current moment, but as Change the Channel is evolving, I'm realizing one of the biggest gifts that I hope it will bring is the opportunity to even slightly one step or two steps away from the well-worn path of worry in your mind. I would love to be a source and place for you to at least step into my boat of joy for a minute. Take a deep breath and know yourself in the moment, not only what you're feeling from other sources and other spaces. It's a moment to be with just yourself. And you are so worthy of that. So I hope that this meandering, this thought process, this download that was given to me could also be beneficial for you as well. Because, babe, you are worth being dazzled and dripped and just immersed in joy. I'm curious what that feels like to you. And if you're feeling moved in a specific way, if joy is triggering as fuck for you, that is information. That is saying, this is something that needs my attention. This is something that I need to get in someone else's lifeboat to work on and to be with. And I love to do this work. This, again, is part of why I think I'm on this planet. And so in the show notes, I will be putting a link for you to connect with me to see if working together would be supportive for you, would be, I guess, timely, would be maybe what your body's asking for. And also, kind of percolating, I've been feeling this incredible desire to create a space for us to learn how to first be with ourselves, the embodied community that is your unique body. Because if you think about it, your body is made up of organs, systems, skin, hair, fluid, all these different things. Your body is a community in and of itself. And so often we are very disconnected from our own bodies. And then we take that disconnected body into social situations with other disconnected bodies. And then we try to find connection there. And that essentially sets up a dynamic to where the only way that I feel is when someone else is telling me or helping me feel. So I'm feeling really, really called and excited to offer a container with some learning modules about first how to understand yourself in an embodied way, to be present, to find elements of play, to feel vibrant, but also curious. And then also taking that into community and having a small community to practice these things with, to be messy, to do it wrong and learn redemption, to put aside all the various reasons why you felt that you don't belong in spaces and instead realize that those are actually the tickets in to this particular clubhouse, if you will. I am really passionate about that because I feel like there is a need to blend in a balanced way the body, the mind, and the spirit. I've noticed in my own work that trying to find a community that I want to really dive in with is hard because sometimes if it's more spiritual, then it feels kind of too far out there where I'm like, I need some kind of skin on whatever this is. And sometimes if it's too heady, if it's too much in the mind, then I may be rehearsing the stories of things that have happened in my life and not feeling any resolution, just simply my mind spinning again. And then the body aspect, either being so overwhelmed by trying to take care of these parts of my body, but also sometimes feeling completely disconnected from our bodies as well. I'm realizing that there is a deep need to be in a playground that actually integrates all of those in a balanced way. So please stay tuned. I am really, really, really excited to launch this opportunity because I feel like now more than ever, as joy feels like potentially an endangered species, but is most needed, as commiseration is at an all-time high and our desire for community is needed so much, what would it feel like if we actually had the tools to live with each other, care for each other, not look for outside sources or organizations or systems to be the thing that takes care of our neighbor? What if we learn how to take care of each other in a more sustainable and fulfilling and fun way? Doesn't that sound amazing? That is how we move from needing certain results to go a specific way. Because when we do that, we move into an external locus of control where outside of us is consistently that which has power. And what I'm saying is it feels like now more than ever, it's so important for us to feel into and understand the potency and power that is within your body, that was passed down to you by your ancestors. That is the glimmer of hope in those passed on that are looking down at you and are saying, thank you for being here during this time, doing this thing. I'm amazed at all that you're moving through, and yet you still stand. You're still holding joy. You are what I prayed for. You are what I held on for. You matter so dearly and deeply. We get to have all of those parts and pieces. All of them get to be talked about, interacted with, integrated. What if we get to be integrated, selfless, self-assured, and I guess, what is the last word? It just flew out of my head, but like self-assured, but also self-aware. What if our emotional intelligence is being invited to the forefront for class? What if being born during this time is a non-negotiable on your syllabus of life, saying you get to have a consistent double dose of learning emotional intelligence, because that is what's going to shift things. It's not raging necessarily. It's not staying in a crouched position. It is, and it's also not doing the same thing that we've always done and expect different results. Emotional intelligence invites us into a broader opportunity. It invites us into possibility and invites us into our power. And that, my lovely, is what Change the Channel is all about. We are here to drop you back into your power, drop you back into your innate knowing, to ignite joy in your bones when it feels like everything is cold. That is the purpose and point of this podcast. And it's crazy because I've been playing with this and working at it for the past couple years. At the beginning, it just felt like something to practice using my voice. And now it feels like even more important to have. And I'm so grateful that it's here. And I'm so grateful that you're here. If this episode has touched you, and you might not agree with all of it, that's fine. Feel free to toss out that which doesn't serve you. But if there's a part of it that feels hopeful, encouraging, maybe you don't have words for a friend of yours that is going through a really hard time, and you want to infuse a little bit of joy in their life, please feel free to send them this podcast episode. And I am sending them and you a massive hug from this space that I'm sitting in. And you are welcome in my lifeboat. You're welcome in my lifeboat. So in the show notes, again, I will be dropping my information. I would love to connect with you to see where you're at, what part of your body is speaking up mostly about these areas of joy. What does that mean for you? And also, if you have a friend, again, please feel free to share this information with them. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. And please stay tuned for this community opportunity. My hope is to make it so easy and easeful to step into it in both financial pieces, but also feeling really safe to show up just as you are and expansive and curious in varieties of ways. So please stay tuned. I'll also drop my Instagram because I'll be sharing as I'm getting ready to open the doors for that as well. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for taking deep breaths when life is hard and stepping back into the ring again. Thank you for refusing to allow the waves to be your final crescendo of your story, but instead finding joy in being that warrior, finding a space to stand and to look around you and realize that you have something beautiful to offer those that are around you. And yeah, you're a big deal. You really are. Thank you so much for being here again. This was another episode of Change the Channel podcast. Have a great rest of your week. Big hugs, deep breaths, and I look forward to talking to you on the next episode.